Hi everyone and welcome to the Hycroft Mansion. We're upstairs on the second floor and this is the summer show in 2022 and our opening is July the 6th. Come along with me and I'll introduce you to each of the artists. The first artist I'm going to do is Elys.
Hi.
Hi Elys.
Hello.
Nice to have you and have your paintings here. I see that they're a watercolor process. Can you just tell me the name of each of these as we go along and then we'll talk a little bit more about it.
Well, we have waterfall for the first one and Venice scene or Venetiano River. We have the boat fenders at Steveston, bikes and beacon at Stanley Park, and this one is a window bike reflection. And the next one is a medieval angel called Angel of Time.
So Elise, this is fantastic. I see that you use several different types of styles. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Yes, in my learning process or in my rediscovery of my childhood love for painting and drawing, I tried to find my lines and colors. And I hope by this time anyone who's...
Hi Elise, I really enjoy seeing these paintings. And can you tell me a little bit about your process and how you came to be doing this?
Well, my childhood love for painting and drawing, as most of you know or may not know, I have rediscovered my childhood love for drawing and painting. Literally went back to the drawing board, absorbed like sponge most tips and tricks my mentors Sonia and Mark could share with their students. These images are, I have interpreted, these paintings are my vision as I have interpreted with my colors and lines, and hopefully evoke happiness to anyone who sees it.
Thank you, Elise. That's wonderful. Eva, it's just so great to have you as part of the show. And I wondered if you could just tell me a little bit about your process here, and then I'll go over and have a look at the gallery.
The process that...
Because you've got some new items in there again.
Well, I needed to have new items.
But you've really changed again. You've done something different. I think it looks like it's acrylic on paper, but it's...
It's acrylic on paper, but in fact the one that I called Fairy Tales or Fairy Story or something, that started off as part of the series that I did for the show at Britannia.
Oh, okay.
And then I never was happy with it.
Okay.
So one day I looked at it and I said, okay, I can just play with this. I don't have to, you know.
So this is going to be a muse that you're going to just try out?
It was, yes. So it was just from my imagination.
Oh, that's fantastic.
So I just started putting color in and left a bit of the waterfall and ended up putting mushrooms and a fairy, and it was just fun.
Oh,
fun to do.
Can't wait to look at it. That's great.
So,
thanks, Eva. Here's Eva's, and this is the piece that she's showing at the gallery this year for 2022. More whimsical and idyllic in nature, and this is the one she discussed about adding mushrooms and things to.
How did you come to this?
Well, I've done realistic work for a long time. I love working in landscape and usually in acrylic. But, you know, it's fun to push yourself and try something new. So a few years ago, I took a workshop in mixed media, collage, abstract work. And I didn't do very much with it, but over time, I've done some realistic work and some abstract. So these are some of my more recent abstracts. They're all done in acrylic. They're on different surfaces. Some of them, like this one, are on a board. Some of these are on paper. And they're very, I think of them as being intuitive. So I don't start with a plan in mind, whereas when I do a landscape, I tend to sketch it out and make sure I like the perspective and the proportion and whatever. This is more, in my case, I tend to choose a limited palette that I think I'll work with. So in this case it was blue and a yellow and a black and white and a little bit of red, and I just mixed all the colors from those. I didn't start pulling in greens and purples out of my paint box.
You can mix them anyway.
Mix them any way you want, right? And I chose in each case to do something, add an extra medium or an extra element that I wouldn't normally. So in this case, there's a little bit of texture on the board before I started to paint, and I used a bit of crayon in the background. In this one, I used some materials that I actually stamped the paint on with, and I used some pencil. So it's just, and then I just work at them and look at it, come back to it, change it a little bit more, thinking about how the eye flows and the feeling of the piece, and then eventually I just decide I like the feeling of it, I like the look of it, and I hope that other people will be drawn into it too. So it's
Wonderful.
and this one's quite, the end is quite different because it's more collage on, it's all acrylic, and some ink, pen and ink, but it's papers that I've painted, it's papers that I've found, and then I paint the background, and there it's more cutting shapes and then doing a bit of doodling almost to try and pull it together to be in a pleasing design. So they're fun. I hope other people just think they're
I
fun.
will. I'm curious, you said you took this workshop a couple of years ago, so that was just as we were entering the COVID. Did you doing abstracts keep you going when we?
They did actually. The first workshop I did in mixed media was about 5 or 6 years ago, and I kept doing a lot of realistic work in the meantime. But during the pandemic, I've done a lot of workshops online, and one in particular, I've never done work in collage. So one of them I did was strictly working with collage, and we made our own collage papers, and then we worried about cutting them up to get nice design. So it's all come out of that, and now I'm sort of drawing on all these different techniques and workshops and experience that I've had to bring a different, what I hope is my own style.
Another part of, hi everyone, another part of the gallery is Louayne, Maihara. And I'm just going to bring her in focus here. And this is her beautiful piece, the First Spring's Blooms. And I love the colors that you're using, Louayne. So can you tell me a little bit about how you've chosen to get into the watercolor mode?
Well, I chose to do this because I haven't worked in watercolor for so long. It's been over 30 years. And I'm delighted to come back because Sonia's classes, I joined in COVID time and started working in watercolor, and it's been a delight because the watercolor and the painting has brought out my love for that light, and I keep trying my searches for that light.
Okay, let's talk about this one with the seagulls. Because there's something behind this that you showed me. I couldn't believe it when I saw it.
Yes. If you see beyond the seagulls, and it's called Valentine to Seagulls because in fact, you see a heart if you're looking, and the farther away you get, so at a good 40 feet, you'll see that it's actually a heart that the seagulls have formed, or a smile. So that's part of what the light does, is create those shapes and forms for me.
That's amazing, because I know you keep popping out with these wonderful eye shapes and these facial shapes, right? Like, I just love the fact that they're talking to each other here in this conversation. I mean, it's just amazing how you managed to do that without even realizing it when you're just putting it all together. It's just fabulous.
Yeah, the eyes pop out and the light comes shining through.
There's some eye in here too, right? Isn't there's something in here?
Yeah, there is everywhere. I have it if you look, but
you have to really look.
You have to look, and sometimes.
There's a face in there.
You see the face?
Oh,
but there's the faces too. This is this is a face as well.
Okay.
And it becomes but only at certain light. And
right.
So in one light you don't see it, in another out comes these faces and light and shines, right?
Fantastic.
So that's my journey, is to show that love, which is that.
Thanks for sharing that. That's amazing. Welcome back to the Hycroft Summer Show, and I just want to show my two pieces, which is networking, which are all the pigeons, and my Don't Feed the Pigeons, which is a boy that I happened to see in San Juan, Puerto Rico on a plaza who was feeding his pigeons, and he just got so startled by the fact they were pecking into his hands. So this is my watercolor process, and I'm really glad that you can see this. Welcome back to the gallery show. And this is Joyce Goodwin's pieces. We have 4 on one wall here, her beautiful mixed media, which she has started to venture into. She also loves watercolor, and she has done some acrylic as well. But this is a new series for her, and I really love it. Now, unfortunately, she's not able to be here with us today, but you can see this amazing work in these boxes. They're lovely. And I'm just going to show you. I just want to mention that this is also Joyce's piece, and it's called Birds of a Feather. Again, a little bit different, where she's adding in some different collages to her work of mixed media.